Chapter 2016, Dazzling Smile. Western Desert. Dark clouds covered the sky and thunder rumbled as the fierce fight of the Mo Clan Gu immortals with the mysterious giant beast continued. Die, beast. I will tear out your bones and tendons as resources to compensate for the losses my Mo clan suffered. The two Mo Clan Gu immortals were furious. The giant beast brought disaster to Mo clan, causing heavy losses. The areas these two were responsible for suffered even more severe damage. You want to kill me? During the battle, the mysterious giant beast suddenly spoke human words. Mo clan's two immortals were shocked, and their hearts jumped wildly. At the same moment, the giant beast opened its mouth and shot out its long purple-red tongue. The long tongue moved with astonishing speed and pierced through a Mo Clan Gu immortal's body. Almost instantaneously, this Mo Clan Gu immortal was corroded by the strong poison and turned into nothingness. Only the immortal aperture turned into an indistinct light speck and fell to the ground. You are a legendary immemorial beast. The remaining Mo Clan Gu immortal was horrified and retreated in panic, but it was already late. The mysterious giant beast was Qing Chou. It laughed coldly as ghost qi started surging around it. The dense layers of ghost qi turned into ghostly figures which blocked the Mo Clan Gu immortal. Qing Chou closed in slowly. Didn't you want to kill me and pull out my bones and tendons? Mo Clan's Gu immortal shouted in fear. Spare me, I belong to Mo Clan. Spare me, and Mo Clan won't pursue you any further. Pursue me? Hearing this, a trace of anger flashed past Qing Chou's face. You two idiots do not even know you are being used by others. Go and die. The Mo Clan Gu immortal let out a painful shriek as ghostly figures pounced on and killed them. After killing these two Gu immortals, Qing Chou looked towards the desert. Sand flew wildly on the ground, turning into a giant monster. It was an immemorial sand monster. This was the assistance brought by the Mo Clan Gu immortals. They were able to restrain Qing Chou by using it. But the Mo Clan Gu immortals had not expected Qing Chou to be a legendary immemorial desolate beast with wisdom that surpassed ordinary humans. Qing Chou took advantage of this point, pretending to be an ordinary immemorial desolate beast, which made the Mo Clan immortals complacent and relaxed their guard. Then with Qing Chou's fierce counterattack, the immortals died. With the death of the Mo Clan immortals, this immemorial sand monster was no longer controlled. Its movement began to slow down, and it stood on the ground while looking at Qing Chou. Qing Chou stared at the immemorial sand monster. Get lost. The immemorial sand monster shook with fear and immediately turned around, plunging into the desert and escaping. Qing Chou scared away the monster, but the surrounding ghost qi intensified further. It looked at a certain area in the sky and sneered. Two despicable worms, are you still not coming out? The moment its words came out, Heavenly Court's two immortals, Nine Spiritual Fairy and Red Heart Traveler, slowly showed themselves. They were floating in the sky side by side and were looking down at Qing Chou. Previously, when Red Heart Traveler was searching for the Blood Sea True Inheritance, he was obstructed by Demon Immortal Qiju. After realizing Demon Immortal Qiju's goal, Red Heart Traveler resolutely gave up on the Blood Sea True Inheritance and continued to chase Qing Chou with Nine Spiritual Fairy. After all, Qing Chou's matter concerned Heavenly Court's plan. And even if he got the Blood Sea True Inheritance, it would only raise Red Heart Traveler's strength. The more important thing was clear with one glance. Nine Spiritual Fairy and Red Heart Traveler possessed Heavenly Court's secret method, so they continued to trace and soon discovered Qing Chou. But the two did not dare to make a move rashly. This was Western Desert. Enemies were all around them, and it was not the territory of these two immortals. If they rashly started a fight, with the other being a legendary immemorial desolate beast, once the fight entered a stalemate, Western Desert's native Gu immortals would interfere and the situation would become too unstable. After some discussion, Nine Spiritual Fairy transformed into an immemorial desolate beast and destroyed the surrounding resource points, attracting some Mo Clan Gu immortals. The two Mo Clan immortals brought an immemorial sand monster, but they were not even able to make Qing Chou expend its energy. Instead, Qing Chou discovered traces of the two Heavenly Court immortals, with their plan failing and Qing Chou exposing their position. The two heavenly court immortals showed themselves and attacked. Boom, boom, boom. The two immortals were both rank 8 and were extraordinary indeed. Their moves were violent and their attacks were like unceasing waves. Ching Cho immediately fell into a disadvantage. But Ching Cho was an immemorial desolate beast. Its body was extremely tough and thick. There was no injury even after getting hit by several rank 8 killer moves. After dozens of exchanges, it became familiar with the techniques of the Heavenly Court Immortals and began to slowly turn around the situation. However, this did not last long. A chi tide began to appear. It was because the immortal apertures of the dead Mo clan immortals had opened the entrance and started to absorb heaven and earth chi to stabilize themselves. There was a difference in the heaven and earth chi in these two immortal apertures and the outside world, and along with the accumulated impact from the fights between the Gu immortals and Ching Cho, a giant chi tide was formed. Ching Cho suffered heavy restriction in the chi tide. Its strength fell sharply. On the contrary, the two heavenly court immortals had offered their immortal apertures and only had phantom apertures. Thus they were not affected too much in the chi tide. Ching Cho roared and struggled, but it was all in vain. It then realized that the two heavenly court immortals still had another layer of planning. They did not just use the two western desert immortals. They even calculated their immortal apertures in their plan. Just as Ching Cho was fighting bitterly, Peng De shook his head and opened his eyes. Where am I? After a moment of daze, he discovered he was being carried by Mo Li and they were moving on a huge sand dune. Uncle, you saved me again. Peng De sighed. You are awake. Mo Li smiled. Uncle, you can put me down. But Mo Li shook his head. Your injuries are severe. Although I healed you, you should not move within a short period of time. Peng De smiled bitterly. I have troubled Uncle again. Where's this? Mo Li replied. Sigh. We were swept away for over 10,000 li by the hurricane. We are now going back. Mo Li had lived many years in the desert. He naturally had a method to distinguish the directions. Peng De was immediately worried after hearing Mo Li's words. Uncle, you still want to return? You want to go back and die? Mo Li was silent for a while. His voice was low and deep, containing resolution. I also know returning is risky, but if I don't even see the appearance of the killer of my wife and son, I will never be able to rest easy. Uncle, Peng De did not know what to say. He understood the sadness and hatred Mo Li was feeling right now, and it was because of this. He was unable to persuade him further. Mo Li continued. Brad, I am thankful for your concern. After we travel a bit further, I will drop you off with enough water and food. It won't be an issue for you to cross the desert and get to the nearest city. Uncle, I won't leave. I can't leave you alone. Don't make a scene. I am not making a scene. You are the one who is irrational. Just as the two were quarreling, the sand below Mo Li began to move and formed a huge whirlpool that sucked both of them inside. Mo Li quickly used his goo worms, but it was of no use. He was pale with shock. What is going on? My goo worms actually have no effect. Peng De also tried with no result. His face was extremely pale. Is this quicksand? We are going to be sucked in. This quicksand was too strange. Their methods were useless on it. The two were getting closer and closer to the center of the quicksand. Their bodies were slowly buried under the sand, and their faces were ashen. Am I going to die? Peng De mumbled. Mo Li heaved a deep sigh. I implicated you, Peng De. I don't blame you, uncle. It was all my choice. Peng De felt his heart beating wildly and his throat parched. He did not know what to express. The feeling before impending death was really the worst. But soon, Peng De's attention was caught by another thing, that he found that Uncle Mo Li, who usually had great mental fortitude, was actually crying. Mo Li sobbed. I am going to die, but my revenge has yet to be done. I did not even see the killer's true appearance. I am too weak, too weak. I don't even have the qualifications to approach the enemy. The gap between immortals and mortals is too big. I am only a mortal. I am like an ant. Peng De opened his mouth to console Mo Li, but he did not know what to say. The next moment, the hot sand poured into his mouth as Peng De quickly closed it. His whole body was buried and his sight was filled with darkness. Am I going to die? I am dying like this. I am truly pitiful to think that my journey in this new world is going to end like this. I really don't want to die. I really don't want to die. Suddenly, in his dark vision, there were specks of starlight. Huh? I didn't die? Pengde sat up and looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He was now at the bottom of a dry well. The quicksand whirlpool continued to rotate in the entrance of the well, but the strange thing was that the sand did not fall down. There was a mysterious force here that stopped the quicksand whirlpool and only allowed Pengde and Mo Li to enter it. Uncle, uncle? Pengde immediately saw Mo Li and shouted twice before he got a reaction. Kid, you are awake? This is an immortal opportunity. We have struck gold. Mo Li turned around, saying with excitement and shock, this is very likely an inheritance left by a Gu immortal. Uncle, you are certain? Pengde's eyes opened in incredulity. This was too dreamlike. The ups and downs of life came too suddenly. He was not a greenhorn who had just transmigrated. The current Pengde had traveled with Mo Li's caravan many times and knew about the Gu world. Gu immortals and Gu immortal inheritances were always a topic of discussion among Gu masters in their idle time. He did not expect the unreachable thing to appear in front of him now. Damn it. Damn it. Why is there no reaction? Mo Li attempted many things and was getting restless, but the starlight showed no reaction. Uncle, this might not be a Gu immortal inheritance, right? I feel like you are thinking too much. At this time, Pengde finally stood up and walked towards Mo Li did not retort. He also began to doubt his previous judgment. But right at this time, the starlight suddenly made a movement. Like tidal waves, they passed by Mo Li and entered Pengde's body. The two were shocked. This happened so fast that when they reacted, the starlight had already entered Pengde's body. Without the starlight, the well fell into darkness. Mo Li activated his Gu worm, creating a lump of fire in his hand that brightened the well once again. Pengde was standing on the spot in daze like a statue with his eyes wide open. Mo Li quickly neared him. Pengde, Pengde? Are you all right? Only then did Pengde react. Uncle, you were correct. This is truly a Gu immortal inheritance, and it is thieving heaven demon venerable's inheritance. What? Thieving heaven demon venerable? Mo Li was shaken. They had a lot of understanding regarding venerable existences as well. Due to the current time and situation, the Gu immortal world's knowledge was no longer secret among mortals. Mo Li's gaze turned slightly complicated. This means to say, Pengde, you are an otherworldly demon? No wonder the inheritance did not respond to me. Pengde felt ashamed. Uncle, I didn't intentionally conceal it from you. It was just that, all right. Mo Li waved his hand. So what if you are an otherworldly demon? You are still Pengde, the person I know, isn't that so? Pengde was extremely moved and nodded his head quickly. Yes. Thank you for understanding, uncle. Mo Li shook his hand. All right. You really struck it big this time. Since you inherited the demon venerable's inheritance, then use the method to leave here quickly. Ordinary methods are useless here. Pengde felt ashamed. The situation is like this, uncle. Although I have many Gu worms, I cannot use them. This is the first time I am seeing these Gu worms and need a lot of practice. Moreover, according to the inheritance, I must use one of the killer moves to leave here. Then practice it quickly. Ask anything you don't understand. Uncle will guide you. Yes, thank you, uncle. Is there still a need for thanks between us? Mo Li smiled. Practice quickly. We don't have much water and food. As the inheritor, it did not matter if Pengde ate or drank in the well, but Mo Li could not share the same benefit. Over the next few days, Pengde practiced without resting. He was only a mortal, so the Gu worms he practiced with were all mortal Gu. This was the first time he was coming in contact with these Gu worms. Although there were detailed explanations in the inheritance, he still needed to practice and master these Gu worms. That Mo Li helped Pengde to study and learn. Once they had some progress, Pengde would hand the Gu worms to Mo Li for demonstration and guidance. Mo Li was an experienced Gu master, although he did not have the qualifications to inherit the thieving heaven true inheritance. He had much more efficient ways to probe these Gu worms. Finally, Pengde was barely able to master the usage of several Gu worms and found a way to use a killer move. Go on, Pengde. Try to succeed in one attempt. Mo Li encouraged Pengde. Watch this, uncle. Pengde used the killer move for the first time, but it did not succeed. The killer move activation failed, and he suffered backlash. He coughed blood and fell on the ground. Peng De, are you okay? Mo Li quickly inspected Peng Da's body. Peng De squeezed words out through his mouth. I have disappointed you, uncle. But rest assured, I will definitely Suddenly, his eyes opened wide. He then looked at his chest with an incredulous expression. His chest was pierced through by Mo Li's hand. His heart was destroyed because of this sneak attack. Uncle. Even more blood started flowing out of Peng Da's mouth. Mo Li raised his head slowly. His eyes were filled with tears and his expression was extremely twisted. Unfamiliarity and fear filled Peng Da's mind. Mo Li's voice was extremely hoarse. I want revenge. I want revenge. But the true inheritance chose you. Uncle had no other options. Peng De, you are too young. You practiced for so long, but you could not even master a killer move. Uncle cannot wait any longer. Uncle cannot depend on you. Mo Li then took out his hand. Peng De powerlessly fell onto the ground, his eyes helplessly looking at the entrance of the well that he was dead. But Mo Li did not stop. He activated his goo worms and captured Peng Da's soul. All right, the thieving heaven true inheritance is mine now. Mo Li laughed. Peng Da's blood was splattered on his face. His blood-stained face had a dazzling smile. Chapter 2017, by Ning Bing vs. He Lulan. Central Continent. On a certain nameless and ordinary peak point, four Gu immortals arrived at the base of the mountain while concealing themselves. He Lulan is on this mountain. Ing Wuxia looked at the peak and spoke that his sides were Fairy Ziwei, Old Man Zheng Yuan, and Bai Ning Bing. After Fairy Ziwei and Old Man Zheng Yuan forced Bai Ning Bing to surrender, they obtained Ing Wuxia's whereabouts. Ing Wuxia was a split soul of spectral soul, and his mission had always been to rescue his main body. But due to his strength and Fang Yuan's arrangements, Ing Wuxia could not enter Heavenly Court. After the Fate War, Fate Gu was destroyed and Fang Yuan escaped, while Ing Wuxia wandered around Central Continent, resenting Fang Yuan for not saving Spectral Soul's main body. After Fairy Ziwei provided enough evidence, Ing Wuxia learned his main body was no longer in Heavenly Court and had gotten free by himself. Ing Wuxia was exulted. He directly abandoned Fang Yuan and joined Fairy Ziwei's group. Through Ing Wuxia, Fairy Ziwei's group learned that he had just recently separated from He Lulan. Thus, the four immortals quietly arrived at this place. Ing Wuxia said softly, He Lulan is a formidable person. Although her cultivation is low and her battle strength is not high because future self has lost its effect, she has great endurance and knows how to wait patiently. She is ambitious and cannot be looked down upon. Ing Wuxia did not doubt his side strength, but what he was most worried was if He Lulan would side with them and betray Fang Yuan or not. In this aspect, Fairy Ziwei was confident. She said with a smile, I have full confidence in making He Lulan surrender. She has a complex relationship with Fang Yuan, but it is not firm. He Lulan wants to kill her own father for revenge. This is her greatest wish. Fang Yuan has captured He Cheng, and because his strength is higher than He Lulan's, she has always been controlled by him. We can use this to make her surrender. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Back then, Fairy Ziwei tried all sorts of methods to deduce Fang Yuan's position, but could not do anything because Fang Yuan was slippery like an eel, and his most skilled wisdom path aspect was in blocking deductions. Fairy Ziwei could not do anything against Fang Yuan, but she investigated everything about Fang Yuan's subordinates. But at that time, even if she wanted to use these indirect ways to find Fang Yuan's location, they all ended up in failure. But now, Fairy Ziwei was going against He Lulan. Those past failures had now become her source of confidence. Immediately, Fairy Ziwei made arrangements. This time, Ing Wuxia, you stay behind. By Ning Bing, you will approach He Lulan. You can say you obtained news from Ing Wuxia and came to visit. When you near her, sneak attack and seal her in ice. After you get her under control, I will persuade her. How about I go with her? Ing Wuxia did not feel assured. Bai Ningbing glanced at him and flew away. Ing Wuxia quickly looked at Fairy Ziwei. Fairy Ziwei, however, shook her head. We will watch it from here. Bai Ningbing flew across the sky like a flash of white light. She looked down at the peak and shouted, He Lulan, are you here? After a while, He Lulan came out from a mountain cave and frowned slightly as she looked towards Bai Ningbing. "Why are you here?" Bai Ningbing laughed and pointed at He Lulan. "I have joined Spectral Soul now and have come to capture you." He Lulan, "If you are smart, then just let yourself be captured." He Lulan's eyes opened wide. "Are you for real?" At the base of the mountain, Ing Wuxia almost stomped his foot in anger. I knew that Bai Ningbing would spoil the matter. Her nature is eccentric and she prioritizes fun. She did this on purpose. She definitely felt this way would be more interesting. Sure enough, Bai Ningbing's laughter was heard. "Of course I am for real." Saying so, she turned into white light and charged at He Lulan. He Lulan had already been preparing, and with a shout, she raised her hands and sent out a large amount of flames to counter the white light. Bai Ningbing was caught off guard and was forced back to the sky, but she looked even more excited. "Fire path method? You actually changed to this path? Haha, interesting. I already wanted to fight you. But how long can you block me for?" Immortal Killer Move, by Xiang. Bai Ningbing directly activated her trump card method. Her body was no longer a flesh and blood body, and was covered in overflowing frost chi that even shrouded the mountain peak. He Lulan entered the mountain cave, and Bai Ningbing gave chase without being afraid of any traps. The two fought inside the cave, causing explosions that cracked and shattered the mountain rocks. After several exchanges, He Lulan fell into a disadvantage, and her situation did not look good. He Lulan's aptitude, temperament, and natural talents were at top level, but her fortune was not good, and she ran into Fang Yuan too early. Fang Yuan dominated her and used He Chung to control her, which greatly influenced her cultivation. He Lulan's strength chi immortal gu, flying bear strength immortal gu, and self-strength immortal gu became Fang Yuan's possessions. Slavery immortal gu was also borrowed by Fang Yuan and consumed. Divert disaster immortal gu was destroyed when she underwent tribulation. During the period of the Fate War, He Lulan almost always relied on the killer move future self. Once the future self was broken, He Lulan returned to her previous self. Fang Yuan did not summon her back. He Lulan also held ambitions and did not want to be controlled by Fang Yuan, so she actively searched for a way to be free. She possessed her aunt's true inheritances, and after enough pondering, she resolutely changed to cultivating blazing heaven demoness fire path. But unfortunately, before she had good progress, she was discovered by Fairy Ziwei and was now chased by Bai Ningbing. He Lulan felt bitter inside. She wanted to retreat, but was chased closely by Bai Ningbing. When she slowly lost the strength to attack and was about to be captured by Bai Ningbing, a white light flew over from the horizon. This white light appeared slow but was extremely fast. Bai Ningbing's Bai Xiang form actually could not dodge it and was struck in an instant. Bai Xiang froze in the air, no longer moving. He Lulan has reinforcements. Ing Wuxia was shocked. Not reinforcements. This should be Longevity Heaven's members. Fairy Ziwei said with a smile. Ing Wuxia realized. Fairy Ziwei had already taken Bai Ningbing's nature into her calculations. Her main goal had been to use Bai Ningbing to trigger Longevity Heaven's ambush. The reason she did not send Ing Wuxia was in fact because she wanted to protect him. Ing Wuxia was Spectral Soul's clone after all. He was truly one of them. And Bai Ningbing, who possessed Bai Xiang, was the perfect candidate to probe the ambush. This is a time path killer move, is it, Fang Yuan? He Lulan had a complex expression as she looked towards the horizon through the gaps in the cave. Rank 8 Immortal Gu House Calamity Luck Altar appeared in the horizons, and in almost an instant, arrived at the center of the battlefield. Calamity Luck Altar sent out a strong light that shone on the unmoving Bai Ningbing. Although the killer move by Xiang was amazing, Calamity Luck Altar was a rank 8 Immortal Gu House that was personally created by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. If Bai Ningbing was struck head-on, her death was certain. Fairy Ziwei quickly made a move, sending out a purple aurora to cover Bai Ningbing, while blocking Calamity Luck Altar's powerful light. I was wondering who it was, so it turns out to be the leader of the defeated Heavenly Court. Bing Sichuan's voice came from Calamity Luck Altar. Fairy Ziwei shook her head slightly and flew to the sky with Old Man Zheng Yuan. We have already joined Lord Spectral Soul. We are no longer in Heavenly Court's faction. Bing Sichuan sneered. Like I care about which side you are on. He Lulan is my longevity heaven's descendant. She is a member of Northern Plains. Don't even dream of harming her. Fairy Ziwei retorted. The 5 regions have merged. All the regional walls have disappeared. What do you mean by Northern Plains? We will need to fight to decide where He Lulan goes. Bing Sichuan did not speak any nonsense. He directly controlled Calamity Luck Altar to collide into Fairy Ziwei. A huge battle erupted. He Lulan and Bai Ning Bing were put under control, unable to budge. He Lulan's face was ashen. She was fully aware that be it Heavenly Court or Longevity Heaven, they were trying to use her to search for clues about Fang Yuan. This was the result of having low cultivation level. She had become an object for the 2 sides to fight over. No one asked her if she was willing or not. This battle did not last long. Both sides were holding back. It was Fairy Ziwei who took the initiative to stop. No need to fight anymore. There is no harm in giving He Lulan to you. Bing Sichuan had a mortal Gu House Calamity Luck Altar, while Fairy Ziwei was without Star Constellation chessboard and was in a weakened state. The reason she attacked was because she wanted to trigger a Qi Tide and use it to claim victory. But Bing Sichuan clearly knew of Fairy Ziwei's plan and made Calamity Luck Altar use all its might. Fairy Ziwei saw the battle turning increasingly fierce and knew her side would have to use their full strength if they wanted to hold on until the Qi Tide arrived, so she directly chose to stop. We have a common objective. It doesn't matter where He Lulan ends up in. Fang Yuan is at his weakest state currently. If we miss this rare chance and let him recover, it will be too late. We can even work together. What do you think, Bing Sichuan? Fairy Ziwei made a proposal. Then, she showed evidence to prove her current faction. Who could have thought that there would be a day when we cooperate? Bing Sichuan was silent for a while before sighing. Both sides had their own venerable as their backer, and they both wanted to kill Fang Yuan. They had the qualifications to cooperate, as well as a common goal, so working together was indeed a wise choice. Chapter 2018, Impending Fatal Calamity. Chapter 2018, Impending Fatal Calamity. Central Continent. Deep beneath a certain earth trench, Calamity Luck Altar was floating in the air. There were tall cliffs on both sides, while below it was unfathomable darkness. It was emitting soft light and did not conceal its aura, scaring away any beast that tried to approach it. The middle of the cliff was a giant cave that was dug by Fairy Ziwei and the rest. Purple light flickered in the cave, and a wisdom path formation was already set up. Fairy Ziwei sat at the center, and old man Zheng Yuan sat at the assistant's position on one hand. He was using human path methods to cooperate with Fairy Ziwei. On the other hand, he was using a portion of the immortal formation to guard against Bing Sichuan. After all, it was the first time these 2 sides were collaborating. They had to err on the side of caution. There were several formation cores at the edges of the formation as well. Bai Ning Bing, He Lulan, and Ying Wu Xie were sitting in these formation cores as the crucial clues. Purple light swayed, rising and falling at times like tides. After a long while, Fairy Ziwei opened her eyes slowly and stopped this wisdom path immortal formation. The overflowing purple light dissipated slowly. How is it? Bing Sichuan's question came from Calamity Luck Altar. Fairy Ziwei sighed and shook her head. It is still not enough. But this method is absolutely effective. These 3 have set alliance agreements with Fang Yuan. Their connections are extremely tight. As long as we capture even more Gu Immortals, we can deduce Fang Yuan's exact location. The large formation was dismantled, and the Gu worms flew back to Fairy Ziwei's immortal aperture. Ying Wu Xie and the others stood up. Bai Ning Bing smiled. This is not difficult. During the Fate War, Fang Yuan had dispatched not only us, but also a large number of Transformation Path Gu Immortals. He Lulan added, from what I know, these Transformation Path Gu Immortals were incorporated after Fang Yuan annexed an immemorial Grotto Heaven. After the Fate War, Fang Yuan disappeared without leaving behind any traces. These people should still be scattered around Central Continent. Ying Wu Xie shook his head. But these Transformation Path Gu Immortals don't have a close connection with Fang Yuan. It is better if we look for Lady White Rabbit and Fairy Miaoyin. These 2 are crucial characters that are only second to us. Fairy Ziwei had stored all the Gu worms by now. She did not have formation flag Gu or similar methods. It was rather time-consuming every time she dismantled the formation. She looked towards Calamity Luck Altar, which had been guarding from the side. It is better if we split our forces to search for White Rabbit and Miaoyin. If we encounter Fang Yuan's transformation path Gu immortal subordinates along the way, we can make the decision to make a move at our own discretion. Shortly after, Bing Sai Chuan's response came from Calamity Luck Altar. Of course. For our following plans, we will need more communication between us. Fairy Ziwei nodded. Indeed. Although the scale of this cooperation was small and duration was short, it had huge significance and both sides had begun to trust each other. Calamity Luck Altar picked up He Lu Lan, while Bai Ning Bing and Ing Wu Xie stayed with Fairy Ziwei. Both sides separated and departed on their own. Immemorial 2 Heavens. Crescent Moon Grotto Heaven. Fairy Crescent Moon, you won't surrender even if the alternative is death. Xiao Hejian, Lady Cold Ash, and the rest were looking down from high above, looking at the dying Gu immortal in the ruins. Fairy Crescent Moon had rank 8 cultivation and was the owner of Crescent Moon Grotto Heaven. She had the terrain advantage, but she was completely outnumbered. She was only hanging on her last breath now. She spat and said with hatred, "You bandits, my Crescent Moon Grotto Heaven has no conflicts with the outside world and has never provoked you nor had any ambitious plans. I will never surrender to you. Then die." Lady Cold Ash was already impatient. She pointed her finger. A gray light shot out and struck Fairy Crescent Moon. Lady Cold Ash put her hand inside her sleeve. Fairy Crescent Moon soul was carried by the gray light and brought to her. This is a rank 8 Gu immortal's soul. Devouring her soul will be much more effective and also much easier to absorb. Lady Cold Ash was spectral soul, but he was able to conceal it from the whole of Wu Shuai's alliance. Xiao Hejian looked at her. "Lady Cold Ash, you battled in the front lines and slaughtered countless enemies, collecting a vast number of mortal souls and many Gu immortal souls. Those are your battle spoils, but Lord Alliance leader specially asked for this rank 8 soul. You cannot take it." Spectral Soul was slightly stunned before smiling and handing this rank 8 soul to Xiao Hejian. "Since our alliance leader wants it, why would I dare to take it?" Inside her heart, however, she was snorting coldly. "I shall hand this to you for the time being. In the future, I will settle both our old and new grudges together." Xiao Hejian nodded with approval and took Fairy Crescent Moon soul while consoling Lady Cold Ash. "Let's go. Let the others clean up here. Follow me to see the alliance leader and report the battle. I can finally get close to Wu Shuai. This is a good chance." Spectral Soul's mood lifted upon hearing that. However, when the two arrived in Dragon Palace's hall, they only saw Wu Shuai's while sitting on the main seat. That Wu Shuai's will heard the report and praised. "Lady Cold Ash, you made the most contributions in this invasion of Crescent Moon Grotto Heaven. Well done. It is our duty to work for Alliance Leader." Lady Cold Ash was extremely disappointed, but showed a smile on her face. "All right, you can leave. When we hand out the rewards based on contribution later, you will not be disappointed." Wu Shuai's will waved his hand. The two left Dragon Palace. Spectral Soul, however, felt discontent inwardly. "It is really a pity that we were not able to see Alliance Leader." Xiao Hejian glanced at her, feeling some disdain towards Lady Cold Ash's conduct in trying to flatter the Alliance Leader when they were not even in front of him. "How can Lord Alliance Leader be available whenever you want? He has been in closed cultivation to resolve the danger of the Qi harvest fruits. We only need to follow his orders." "Yes." Xiao Hejian's expression softened as he patted Lady Cold Ash's shoulder. "Work well and follow me. You will be able to play a key role in the Alliance one day. Then I will depend on Lord's guidance." Spectral Soul put up a performance while internally scheming on when to capture Xiao Hejian. "It is good that you understand." Xiao Hejian smiled and walked forward. He had joined the Alliance because of Qi Ju's true inheritance. As a lone force, he was suppressed by Ice Crystal, Immortal Monarch, and others. But Xiao Hejian's strength surpassed ordinary rank 8s. He was slowly stabilizing his footing in the Alliance and had won over some Gu immortals under him. Lady Cold Ash's performance had been extremely outstanding in the latest battle, and she had displayed extraordinary battle strength. So despite her being a pure human, Xiao Hejian wanted to rope her into his side on the other side. "Granny Skeleton has arrived." The doorman shouted. Granny Skeleton entered the hall and saw Chi-Si Ancestor on the main seat. She quickly cupped her hands and bowed, getting straight to the point. Skeleton Grotto Heaven is willing to come under Chi-Si Ancestor. Chi-Si Ancestor nodded. Ha ha, Granny Skeleton, you are wise. You will not regret joining my side. Granny Skeleton sighed and asked, I wonder when Lord Ancestor can get rid of the Chi harvest fruits problem? I have already made good progress in this, you can rest assured. Fang Yuan changed the topic. Skeleton Grotto Heaven is the nearest to Crescent Moon Grotto Heaven. Crescent Moon Grotto Heaven has now already fallen to Wu Shuai's side. I am willing to send troops and station some Gu immortals in Skeleton Grotto Heaven. I hope you can cooperate. Granny Skeleton sighed. Although Fang Yuan did not show the ability to resolve the danger of Qi harvest fruits, due to the outside world's condition, Granny Skeleton could only lower her head and join him. With the current situation, there is really nothing else I can do. Currently, there are almost no unaffiliated Grotto Heavens left in the immemorial Two Heavens. They have either joined Wu Shuai or have been recruited by Chi-Si Ancestor. Sigh, I wonder what the future will be like. Granny Skeleton did not obtain the answer she wanted and left worriedly. The pressure on Fang Yuan was also increasing. A wisdom path great expert was deducing about me just now. The strength is also quite high. It seems like Fairy Ziwei. Fairy Ziwei was deducing the whereabouts of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan naturally sensed it. This was the same as a contest of the two's wisdom path methods across space. According to my luck, this situation is not looking good. The fatal calamity is impending, danger is lurking everywhere, and there is only a trace of hope. Fang Yuan's cooking luck pot might only be at rank 7, but he could glance at a portion of his luck and deduce the entirety from it. Fang Yuan had already made positive progress regarding the Qi harvest fruits, but he was still at his wits' end on how to refine Heaven Path Dao marks. He was aware that this trace of hope fell on the Heaven Path Dao marks. Only by refining the Heaven Path Dao marks and recovering his strength could he get free from the incoming calamity. If he could not refine them or did not refine them in time, it would be dangerous. But where is this breakthrough point that I seek? Chapter 2019, Rank 8 Hatred Gu. Chapter 2019 Rank 8 Hatred Gu Western Desert. The intense Rank 8 level battle was still continuing. Qing Cho roared. Its tongue shot out with lightning speed. Bam, bam, bam. The blood-red figures that surrounded Qing Cho were easily pierced and destroyed by its tongue. Every time the blood-red figures exploded, Red Heart Traveler's face would turn a shade paler. His brows were furrowed and his teeth were clenched shut, but his fighting spirit did not diminish as he used all his strength to maintain the battlefield killer move. Red Heart Traveler won't be able to hold on for long like this. 9 Spiritual Fairy, who was fighting Qing Cho, had been paying attention to Red Heart Traveler's condition. They had tied down Qing Cho with a lot of difficulty. Red Heart Traveler had used a battlefield killer move and was able to temporarily entrap this legendary immemorial desolate beast. However, Qing Cho had intelligence comparable to a human's. After it discovered it was unable to break free from this battlefield killer move, it concentrated its attacks on Red Heart Traveler in order to break through. Once Red Heart Traveler was unable to hold on, the battlefield would dissipate and Qing Cho could walk out free. With this experience, it would definitely be extremely vigilant, and it would be almost impossible to capture it again in a short period of time. Fine. I can only use that move. 9 Spiritual Fairy gritted her teeth and made a huge decision. Immortal Killer Move. 9 Spiritual Transformations. Her body suddenly shook as she transformed back to her human form. She was a transformation path great expert and should be much stronger after transformation to another form. But right now, even though she returned to her human form, her aura was surging and she was even stronger than her previous self. 9 spiritual lights shot out one after another from her immortal aperture and formed an enormous 9-colored barrier of light. The barrier had 9 layers with distinct colors. Qing Cho had been concentrating on Red Heart Traveler, so it felt a great shock from 9 Spiritual Fairy's sudden outburst and quickly split some of its attacks towards her. But at this stage, the killer move 9 Spiritual Transformations was already completed and had no flaws. 9 Spiritual Fairy gave a clear roar. The 9-colored barrier shook and the 9 layers of light mixed together, becoming extremely dazzling. The mixed light sphere then transformed into a rhinoceros with a large head and small body, and was shining with various colors. It charged towards Qingqiu. Qingqiu roared and gave up on Red Heart Traveler for the moment, and without dodging, it charged towards this rhinoceros. With a loud explosion, the surroundings shook intensely. After the two enormous monsters collided, it was actually Qingqiu who had to take a small step back, while the huge rhino only stopped in its spot. Qingqiu was shocked and furious. It had not expected this rhino to be so strong. As far as it was concerned, this multicolored rhino was translucent, and it could even see 9 spiritual fairy who was in the center. There was no feeling of it being a solid transformation. But the collision made Qingqiu realize this multicolored rhino was stronger than the previous solid transformations. Qingqiu fell into a disadvantage in the collision. This is the first time since the battle started. 9 spiritual transformations is indeed worthy of being a legendary transformation path killer move. Red Heart Traveler was happy and worried at this sight. The price of using 9 spiritual transformations was very high. After a Gu Immortal cultivates the killer move 9 spiritual transformations, they can only use it 9 times in their life. 9 spiritual fairy had chosen to expend 1 usage of such a valuable killer move on Qingqiu. It showed her determined will. Qingqiu roared. Its bestial nature was agitated. It charged at 9 spiritual fairy again. But the multicolored light sphere that 9 spiritual fairy was in changed suddenly, from a large rhino to a southern fire sparrow. The fire sparrow spread its wings and flew to the sky. Qingqiu charged at empty space. Without even looking up, it activated its defensive methods. Sure enough, at the next moment, Qingqiu heard the sharp cry of the fire sparrow. Then the sparrow collided onto its back. Whoosh! Blazing flames engulfed it. Qingqiu's hurriedly activated defensive methods only lasted for a few breaths of time before they broke. Qingqiu counterattacked fiercely. Beast roars and bird cries mixed together. The two sides were at a deadlock. Red Heart Traveler finally had a brief respite and quickly used the time to adjust his condition. While regulating his breath and observing the battle, he started to feel worried. Qingqiu is too sturdy. Although it is being suppressed and the battle tempo is firmly held by 9 spiritual fairy, it has sufficient stamina. On the contrary, 9 spiritual fairy might hold the upper hand and have control over the battle, but she cannot last for long. If there is no external help and this goes on, she will definitely run out of stamina and die. Red Heart Traveler decided to take a risk that he accumulated his strength while waiting patiently. After waiting for 2 hours, he finally saw a chance. The chance was momentary. Red Heart Traveler immediately made his move. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The fragrant blood flew to the air and started rotating. Like a miniature blood sun, it emitted endless blood-red light, rushing to Qingqiu. Although Qingqiu was in a fierce battle with 9 spiritual fairy, it had never let go of its vigilance against Red Heart Traveler. However, when it used its killer move to block this tiny blood sphere, it was of no use. The blood sphere seemed to be illusory. It passed through the obstruction and struck Qingqiu's chest, turning into a red sun insignia. Qingqiu's expression changed immediately. It could feel that its every movement was being tied down by the red sun insignia. This was an extremely powerful seal. It quickly showed its might. It slowed down movement, interfered with killer moves, and lowered fighting spirit. Damn it! Damn it! Qingqiu roared and started attacking wildly. 9 spiritual fairy used all her strength to hold Qingqiu back, but was being beaten back little by little. With a loud explosion, Qingqiu finally broke through Red Heart Traveler's battlefield killer move. However, Red Heart Traveler had a smile of victory on his face. Qingqiu's whole body was bound by blood threads. The source of the countless blood threads was the blood sun insignia at the center of its chest. Success. Cough, cough, cough. Red Heart Traveler coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His face pale like paper. 9 spiritual fairy quickly suppressed the increasingly slower Qingqiu while transmitting her voice. Red Heart, do you need my help? Red Heart Traveler shook his head slowly and used a killer move with difficulty, healing his wounds while enduring the intense pain. 9 spiritual fairy spent much effort before finally suppressing Qingqiu. Looking at Qingqiu, who was bound by the blood threads like a mummy, 9 spiritual fairy praised. What method is this? It could actually capture Qing Cho. Red Heart Traveler was barely able to reply. This is a temporary move I created. I have not named it yet. Nine Spiritual Fairy looked towards Red Heart, slightly widening her eyes. I am truly amazed. Red Heart Traveler shook his head, smiling bitterly. Don't overestimate me. I detected that Qing Chao's vital goo was rank 8 hatred goo, so I made this move. If it were other legendary immemorial beasts, this move would be a joke. I could have the chance to use this move because you did not hesitate to activate 9 spiritual transformations. 9 Spiritual Fairy also shook her head. Capturing Qing Cho concerns the plan of capturing Fang Yuan. This is an important matter for Heavenly Court and for the people of the world. How could I refuse to pay such a small price? But is this hatred goo the one recorded in U003 CU003? See the Legends of Run 003 Yes. Red Heart Traveler nodded. 9 Spiritual Fairy sighed. This explains why Qing Cho can distinguish its enemies. Unfortunately, it did not have a killer move to make full use of it. Now that we have captured it, we can take out the hatred goo and use Heavenly Court's killer move to find the location of Fang Yuan, Spectral Soul, and other demons. Red Heart Traveler restrained his aura. Let's go. We cannot stay here for long. They had engaged in a fierce battle for a long while. Although the battlefield killer move saved a lot of time and also concealed most of the traces of battle, there were bound to be goo immortals who would come to check this place. Not to mention other forces. Emo Clan's assembled troops might already be rushing on their way. 9 Spiritual Fairy and Red Heart Traveler had battled for a long while. Their conditions were not perfect. They detained Qing Cho and moved towards Central Continent. Sure enough, just a short while after they left, several goo immortals of Mo Clan arrived with surging momentum in an immortal goo house. There was a fierce battle here. Although there are few traces, it can be seen that it was a rank 8 level fight. No wonder my clan's goo immortals perished so quickly. Give chase. We have an immortal goo house with us. They won't be able to run far. Mo Clan's group followed the traces and chased the 2 Heavenly Court immortals. Several days went by again that a sandstorm blew and a goo master was struggling to move in the desert that he reached the center of the battlefield and saw the deep craters that were mostly buried by the sandstorm. He raised his head and roared. This person was Mo Li, who killed Pengda and seized thieving heaven's true inheritance. He went through all kinds of troubles to get here as soon as possible, thinking of seeing the true appearance of the culprit that killed his wife and son, but he was too late. I am going to find you and cut you to pieces. No matter who you are or what monster you are, I will kill you. Mo Li knelt on the desert and roared towards the sky. Pengda's soul was floating beside him. Pengda gave a cold laugh. You, a mere mortal, wants to take revenge against an immortal beast? So what if it is an immortal beast? Mo Li's eyes were red as he stared at Pengda's soul. His expression was malevolent. I have thieving heaven's true inheritance. I have thieving heaven's true inheritance. I can definitely become a goo immortal and succeed in taking revenge. Pengda laughed again. There is another possibility as well. This immortal beast was already killed by the goo immortals. You have no target to take revenge against already. Mo Li was stunned and was silent like a statue. After a long while, he suddenly moved his hand and grabbed the throat of Pengda's soul. He seemed to be in a state of insanity. No, it won't die. I won't allow it to die. It must die by my hands. Mo Li continued to shout. I will become a goo immortal. I have thieving heaven's true inheritance. I can definitely take revenge. I can definitely take revenge. Tell me how to use the next goo worm. While grabbing Pengda's soul, Mo Li activated his goo worms. Wisps of white smoke and sizzling sounds came from the area where Mo Li's hand touched Pengda. Pengda's soul immediately let out a sharp screech from the unbearable pain. I will speak. I will speak. This is called electric circuit goo. Electric circuit goo? What is this thing? Pengda's soul hesitated for a bit. How can I explain this? You are not an otherworldly demon. You won't be able to understand what an electric circuit is. Simply speaking, it is the path that electric currents move along. Mo Li sneered. What is so hard to understand about it? It is not like I have not read U003 CU003 See the Legends of Run 003. U003 CU003 see the legends of Ren 003 It has recorded that lightning goo chose to cooperate with blazing glory lightning brilliance to find a way out. They eventually managed to leave immemorial blue heaven. This should be the true meaning behind electric circuit. 1. Peng Da's soul was stunned. Oli kept on praising. Thieving heaven demon venerable is truly worthy of being a venerable. He actually has such creative thoughts. He must have obtained the inspiration from U003 C003 see the legends of Ren 003 thus creating electric circuit goo. Peng Da's soul. 1. It can be read as lightning path/road, which is how these goo world people interpret the goo. Chapter 2020, Rank 9 Lightning Goo. Forest Lightning Grotto Heaven. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord, you betrayed the Two Heavens Alliance and actually colluded with Chi-Si Ancestor. This is an unforgivable sin, and you will be executed for it. Xiao He-Jin looked down from above. Behind him were a large number of Goo immortals from the Two Heavens Alliance. They were all standing silently and expressionlessly, showing the numerical superiority. On the contrary, Forest Lightning Grotto Lord was facing the enemies alone. His strength paled in comparison. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord gave a bitter smile. Since you found out, I don't have anything to say. But do you think I am willing to collude with the enemy? The Alliance wants to experiment on the Chi harvest fruit in my Forest Lightning Grotto Heaven. None of the Alliance's previous attempts have succeeded, and all the Grotto Heavens they have tested on have detonated. I sided with the Two Heavens Alliance for self-protection. But now, you want to sacrifice my home? Since that is the case, it is better to surrender to the enemy. I might even have some new hope. Xiao He-Jin frowned, snorting coldly. You have no confidence in our Two Heavens Alliance and Lord Alliance leader Wu Shuai. Perhaps this time will succeed. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord chuckled. If Alliance leader Wu Shuai had a fair disposition, I would have nothing to say. But he is clearly protecting variant humans while sacrificing humans. The Grotto Heavens the Alliance has experimented on are all-human Grotto Heavens. Wu Shuai is a dragon man after all. I have seen through this Alliance's farce. Human Goo immortals present here, watch carefully. This will be your outcome in the future. After me, it will be your turn. Hearing this, the human Goo immortals clearly had a slight change in expressions. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord had no doubt spoken of what they were worried about. Wu Shuai and Chi-Si Ancestor were the same person. They naturally had a tacit agreement. They looked to be confronting each other on the surface, but were secretly dividing the Two Heavens forces. By now, there were no neutral Grotto Heavens in the Two Heavens. The Grotto Heavens in the Two Heavens were either destroyed or had joined Wu Shuai or Chi-Si Ancestor. After the two sides divided the Two Heavens, they ceased fighting and began to find a way to solve the Chi harvest fruit problem. Compared to Chi-Si Ancestor, who was researching in closed cultivation, Wu Shuai's Chi path attainment was clearly much weaker. So, Wu Shuai's Two Heavens Alliance had no choice but to experiment and be very rough with their actions to pursue efficiency. The experiments to eliminate the Chi harvest fruits had failed many times and destroyed many Grotto Heavens as a result. When it was Forest Lightning Grotto Heaven's turn, Forest Lightning Grotto Lord was not willing to bet his home. So for self-protection and survival, he secretly contacted Chi-Si Ancestor. He was truly an unfortunate guy. Chi-Si Ancestor and Wu Shuai were in essence the same person. Chi-Si Ancestor was Fang Yuan's main body, and he informed Wu Shuai directly. Wu Shuai thus sent the command to Xiao He-Jin to gather some Goo immortals to punish the traitor. Looking at Forest Lightning Grotto Lord, Xiao He-Jin sneered silently and said with impatience, "Who is going to get this criminal?" Lady Cold Ash stepped forward like she wanted to be the vanguard. "Let me." Xiao He-Jin nodded. "Good." Lady Cold Ash directly charged towards Forest Lightning Grotto Lord. Xiao He-Jin was inwardly happy and thought, Cold Ash is perceptive and has a lot of capability. My efforts to win her over were not a waste. Lady Cold Ash fought with Forest Lightning Grotto Lord. Both were at rank 8 and went at each other, neither yielding a step. The other Goo immortals of the Two Heavens Alliance were watching the battle from atop the clouds. In a fight between Goo immortals, for a group attack to work, they would have paid attention to cooperation. Different paths would cause conflicts between Dao marks. If there was no skillful cooperation, it might instead waste their efforts. Naturally, This did not hinder the observing Gu immortals from accumulating their energy and attacking when there was a chance. But the two Heavens Alliance's Gu immortals did not find any opportunity to sneak attack. Lady Cold Ash gradually gained the upper hand and control of the battle. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord saw the situation was bad and immediately escaped below ground. Lady Cold Ash was Spectral Soul's disguise after all. How could Forest Lightning Grotto Lord be her match? The deadlock earlier was only a deception. It was nothing more than Spectral Soul's act. Xiao Hejian saw Forest Lightning Grotto Lord fleeing and laughed heartily. Chase. The immortals gave chase. They did not care about the large Forest Lightning Grotto Heaven and only targeted Forest Lightning Grotto Lord. As long as they got rid of this soul rank 8, other resistances would not be an issue. They even took the initiative to maintain the safety of Forest Lightning Grotto Heaven. After all, this Grotto Heaven needed to be tested on, and they would have a share in the distribution of the resources inside it. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord kept on moving deep underground. Lady Cold Ash did not give chase and stayed beside Xiao Hejian. Soon, the first group of Gu immortals who had entered deep underground returned with soot covering them. When he obtained their report, Xiao Hejian was slightly stunned. There is such a thing? There is a lightning forest deep underground. The returning Gu immortals naturally brought evidence. Through methods similar to Shadow Image Gu, the two Heavens Alliance's immortals saw a vast lightning forest in the pitch-black underground. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled every moment. The flashes of lightning formed a tall silver tree. The tall tree only lasted for a moment, but it had large thunder leaves, many silver lightning branches, and so on. They were materialized and tempted all the immortals. Heaven. These are all priceless lightning path rank 8 immortal materials. This is only the superficial wealth of the lightning forest. According to the records in The Legends of Renzu, the source of lightning forest is lightning Gu. The size of this lightning forest is enough to prove there is a rank 8 lightning Gu here. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord wants to resist by relying on lightning Gu. Wishful thinking. How could a mere rank 8 immortal Gu oppose our two Heavens Alliance? The immortals discussed, but no one was willing to enter the forest. After all, the lightning forest was a dangerous area, and Forest Lightning Grotto Lord possessed an enormous terrain advantage here. If they rashly invaded, it was very likely to be an unrewarding venture. Xiao Hejian frowned. Who will go capture Forest Lightning Grotto Lord? Lady Cold Ash stood up once again without hesitation. Xiao Hejian showed a pleased smile. Cold Ash, if you win, your contribution will be at the top for this battle. Thank you. Lady Cold Ash was about to move. Wait. Night Heavenly Wolf Lord also walked out. The Lightning Forest is a dangerous region. Let me accompany Cold Ash. If there is any unexpected mishap, I can be of some assistance. Let's do it that way then. Xiao Hejian agreed to Night Heavenly Wolf Lord's request. Thereupon, the two immortals charged towards the depths of the underground. Other Gu immortals along with Xiao Hejian were floating in the air, watching the battle as well as waiting patiently. Lady Cold Ash charged to the bottom and arrived in front of the lightning forest. She directly opened her immortal aperture and let out countless soul beasts. The soul beasts charged towards the lightning forest like a violent tide. Rumble, lightning struck continuously and explosions resounded unendingly. There were severe losses to the soul beasts. They used their lives to forcibly pave open a path. Lady Cold Ash and Night Heavenly Wolf Lord smoothly entered the depths of the lightning forest. I didn't think Lady Cold Ash would actually deal with the lightning forest like this. She is really resolved to suck up to Xiao Hejian regardless of the cost. There have been many rumors recently about the Alliance leader wanting to make Xiao Hejian a Vice Alliance leader. The Alliance only has one Vice Alliance leader, Ice Crystal Immortal Monarch, currently. It is not strange for Lord Wu Shui to make this arrangement to keep the balance between his subordinates. Lady Cold Ash might be a human Gu immortal, but she doesn't want to have the same outcome as Forest Lightning Grotto Lords. So she wholeheartedly wants to climb ranks in the Alliance. She is doing her best to protect her Grotto Heaven. Gu immortals observed the battle while conversing secretly. After a while of effort, Lady Cold Ash and Night Heavenly Wolf Lord fought their way to the center of the lightning forest and saw Forest Lightning Grotto Lord once again. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord was refining rank 8 lightning goo and quickly stopped the refinement when he saw the two immortals. He shouted in anger, "Stop! If you take one more stop, I will destroy this lightning goo." The immortals were surprised. So this lightning goo is still a wild immortal goo and Forest Lightning Grotto Lord has not actually refined it? What is going on? Haha, I understand. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord's ambition is not small. Oh, please explain. If I am not wrong, this lightning forest should have been just an ordinary lightning path resource point at the start. But at a certain point, it gave birth to a wild lightning goo. Because of this lightning goo, the lightning path resource point gradually transformed into a small lightning forest. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord did not refine this wild lightning goo. Instead, he added resources to grow this lightning forest. The larger the scale of the lightning forest, the lightning goo, which is the source, will also keep on advancing further. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord kept on investing resources and finally advanced this wild lightning goo to rank 8. The two Heavens Alliance's goo immortals saw through the ambitions of Forest Lightning Grotto Lord. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord was a lightning path goo immortal and was not proficient in refinement path. But this lightning forest was created naturally. It was simply nature refining goo itself. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord cleverly borrowed the power of nature and added momentum to the original foundation. His goal was to advance lightning goo to rank 9 level. And during this process, if he refined this wild immortal goo, the process of nature refining goo would be interrupted and could not be recovered. Thus, Forest Lightning Grotto Lord had left this wild lightning goo in its state and did not refine it. It was extremely difficult to seize others' goo worms. But wild immortal goo were different. A rank 8 wild immortal goo. The crucial thing was that it even had the possibility of advancing to rank 9. This discovery was extremely huge. Xiao Hejian and the rest opened their eyes wide, revealing greed and wariness. This is of vital importance. We cannot be rash. Xiao Hejian quickly transmitted his voice to Lady Cold Ash and Knight Heavenly Wolf Lord. Lady Cold Ash and Knight Heavenly Wolf Lord paused their attacks. Forest Lightning Grotto Lord spoke conditions. As long as you spare me and my Forest Lightning Grotto Heaven, I will offer this lightning goo to you. Xiao Hejian quickly contacted Wu Shuai and reported this matter. The matter concerned a future rank 9 lightning goo. Xiao Hejian did not dare to decide by himself.